Like
I
that's
specifically recommended this book series to you to traumatize you.
I believe you because I had been I am traumatized. I'm trying to think. I think I've cried almost in every book.
Good.
Yeah.
Veronica, have you always been a reader?
Yes. Just not as much as you though.
Well, okay, but I feel like the amount
Like
that I read is probably
like
unhealthy.
weird. Like you've already read 100 books. Like who does that?
People who have a lot of
Like
time.
I'm on 40. No, not even because my goal for the year was like 50. I think I'm like Goodreads literally tells you like you're 3 books behind schedule. Like I'm sorry I have a life.
Makes you feel guilty.
I'm like I'm sorry I have a life. So I read like short little like
I
when
was like, I
I
have to
spread it
catch up. I
barbarians
have to catch
because
up.
it's like a 200 page thing. Like let me just read these 200 pages real quick.
I Split Barbarians is a good time. It's a
If
good
you're
time.
okay with that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
that's a whole other.
that's like. I feel like your reading tastes have evolved though.
Oh yeah, they have
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean that's
because
which is normal, but like I remember books that you used to suggest to me were probably more of like the YA genre, maybe more
yes.
fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like recently it's been a little bit more romance related or
Yeah,
dark romance.
dark the smut.
Yeah.
It's all about the
So but
smut.
why did you want to start reading Throne of Glass?
So because I read, you know me, I'm a
Mhm.
Cassandra Clare fan. Like
Yes.
that's my
And I haven't
person.
read any of those
I know.
books.
So when you start reading them, the payback's gonna come. But that's also like 20 something books.
It's
But I
20
started,
books?
yeah. Well, if you do the prequels and
Oh,
this and that, because there's like six,
it
and then
really
there's
feels like
three, and then three, and then three, I think, and then
okay.
the side novellas, and then you got a TV show and a movie to watch. So it's a lot.
But the TV show and the movie I thought were terrible.
The movie was. The TV show was good, but it did not follow the books. Like the
Okay.
characters' names were the same, um, and like the world was kind of the same, but there's a lot of little things like they changed like the race of people, and then like you had fairies fall in love with vampires, and that didn't happen in the books, and
That's not
then
supposed to happen.
yeah, it's
Like it's
weird.
not allowed or something.
Oh no, it's just like that she didn't fall in love with him in the book. She fell in love with so and so, who's now in love with so and so in the movie. Like they changed a lot of the story, but it made sense because it moved the story on, and then the way they ended the series, like it didn't end that way in the books at all.
Okay.
So you have to watch, like you have to read. I don't want to give it away, but like the way it ends, it's just weird. And then like certain the big storyline in the initial books, like the
Mhm.
6 main books of Nourishments, like I feel like they rushed that in the TV show because they wanted to do other things,
It's
and I'm
probably
just like,
because the ratings were terrible because they didn't. You know what they need to do though
yeah.
is like age up. Like I felt like all the characters were like
Well, they are young
they're young
they're
in
in
the
high
books, but like
school,
if you look at it from like successful TV shows or
but it was on
successful
Freeform, so I mean that's a
I guess that's
younger
true.
a
That is a younger
younger TV
demographic.
thing,
You're
but
right.
yeah, and then like the guy who played the main character Jace in the series, I did not like, but I liked the one who played him in the movies
Jeez.
because the guy who played him in the movies is the guy from Stranger Things #1. That's why
The
one,
Vecna.
yeah,
Vecna.
Vecna was Jace in the movies, which
That is
was
a beautiful
the
man.
vampire from Twilight. Remember, he was one of the Volturi. He was one of the Volturi.
Full confession, I don't like Twilight.
I like the books.
I
I
couldn't
didn't.
I couldn't I okay. I have to finish pretty much every single book I start. The only DNF on record
Mm-hmm. Is Twilight?
is Breaking Dawn because the second that like homeboy like imprinted on a baby, I was like, I can't. I
Oh, but
can't.
you can watch the Ice Planet. You can read Ice Planet Barbarian.
Yes, because Ice Planet Barbarians is a good time. So whenever it comes to the Sarah J. Maas universe, what I started with was actually uh, the series that you should read next, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses,
Uh-huh.
and that's probably that's the book talk baby. That's the one that everybody's seeing everywhere.
Mm.
But that one, that's where I started, and I remember like after I finished that because I finished that series like in 2016 before I was on Goodreads or Book Talk or
Uh-huh.
Bookstagram or
You were
anything.
before you were a real nerd,
I
an
know,
OG
I know
nerd.
the worst. So I remember like I was trying to like, and the reason why I joined Goodreads is because after I finished that series, I was like, I'm trying to find more books like in this genre that I liked, and I found a few that were like in the romanticy kind of thing. But like then I looked up Sarah J. Maas, and then I saw that she had 5 other books out, and I was like, Okay. And that happened to be during a time that like we didn't have any power, so I had like all 5 books downloaded, which was just Throne of Glass through Empire of Storms, which is the first
Mm-hmm.
like official 5 novels, not none of the novellas. Read all 5 of those, and then within the next month, Tower of Dawn was coming out. So
Mm-hmm.
read all those in about a week, 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was my introduction to that world.
You're a mess.
I
But I
know,
just
I'm
remember
a
having like
loser.
I didn't know that there was like controversy on what order to read the books in. So like, cause I remember when I texted you, I was like, I want a new series, and I was like, I want to finally read Throne of Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then I texted you, I was like, well, what book is first? Because if you Google, people are fighting, and like if you look on TikTok, people start fighting. Like, no, you have to read it in this order. And I was like, I'm just ask Sarah, and Sarah was like, read Assassin's Blade first, and I did,
Right,
and I'm
right.
glad I did because all the references are there.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably like get away with doing Throne of Glass and then Assassin's Blade,
Mm-hmm.
but by the time you get to Crown of Midnight, there's so many references to
Yeah.
Assassin's Blade. It doesn't really
But
make
even in Heir of Fire, there was a lot of references, which is the one I
yeah,
just finished. Because even there, I was like, "Is what when they were in thing? Wasn't that so and so and so?" And you were
yeah.
like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay, that makes sense."
I feel like you definitely have to kind of in my mind, I like to read chronologically. I liked if I could go back, I would have read Assassin's Blade, then Throne of Glass, and so
Mm-hmm.
forth and so on. What I ended up doing was reading um, up to Empire of Storms. There was a lull because I was about a month out from Tower of Dawn releasing, and then another year out from Kingdom of
I
Ash.
couldn't do it.
So after I finished Tower of Dawn, that's whenever I went back and read Assassin's Blade, and
Mm.
then jumped back into it whenever Kingdom
So how many
Ash
books
came
I
out.
got? 4.
And this one, if you're on, yeah,
I started Queen. I have 4
yeah.
more.
So you have no, you finished Assassin's Blade.
Yeah, I've
So
got
so
Queen.
after you're done with Queen of Shadows, which you started today,
Mm-hmm.
rude.
Yeah, I did.
You have Empire of Storms, and you're gonna do the tandem read, right?
I don't know. You did it, huh? Because they weren't out
No,
at the same
no,
time.
they weren't out at the same time. So I
But
read.
would you? Like, does it make sense? Knowing what you know, does it make
So
sense?
it depends. Like if you, so
So it's true those books happen at the same time.
yes, they
Why?
happen. So Tower of Dawn is a Kale book.
I don't like him though.
I know. So like, but you
He's
have to read it in order to understand what's going on with King of Ash. So what makes the most sense if you're not a big fan of him is not to read an entire book with him in one go. Like if you do a tandem read, you can go over to Empire of Storms, then you can jump into his book and back and forth. And
so
that
the
way,
whole book is about him.
yes,
There's nobody else is in there.
no comment.
I don't like him. I really don't. He's so annoying. Like he's just rude.
The thing is, like, since you're starting, like, I don't want to give anything away, but like, since you're starting Queen of Shadows, um, I to this day still do not like his character.
I'm at the point
I feel
like
like,
I literally read like the first I think like 3 chapters of Queen of Shadows this morning
uh huh,
while I was at work waiting for the kids to get their breakfast, and I was like, let me read this real quick.
okay.
And I still don't like him. He's like Fleetfoot or whatever his name. It's the damn
I mean, he
dog.
did save the dog.
He saved the dog.
He
That's like
saved the
the
dog.
only thing redeeming quality about him. But I'm just like he's up to something. I don't like him, and I don't like Dorian either. Until I might like him now, but I don't like right now. He's on my shit list. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't really care for him.
I don't want to tell you who my favorite characters are though, because like I don't want it to like
But
warp your
but
opinion.
but the witch, I like the witch,
Oh,
man.
Manon,
Manon, I do like her and her.
Praxis.
Yeah, he's so goofy. I feel like he's like just this goofy looking dude. But like that's another thing with the references. Like she goes to get the silk from the spiders,
Uh huh.
which is the same. And the spider tells her about the guy
Yep.
that Selena had met, and I was like, see, like it all makes sense. But
Yeah.
if you
Yeah. It
didn't
all connects.
read
It's important.
Assassin's Blade, you wouldn't have known. And then she just steals it like a G anyway, so it doesn't matter. She's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
she's like,
guys.
I'm not giving you anything.
She's like, bye.
I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I am older than all of you.
Yeah. Assassin's Blade. Did I see any character? I don't know anyone. Oh, so Oberyn. Is it Oberyn?
Oberyn.
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 Yeah, he's a jerk. I didn't like it from the very beginning.
I don't think you're supposed to.
I mean, you do kind of because
Yeah.
at least he didn't put her as like a child sex slave or something. Like he
Well,
turned
I
her
mean,
into an
but like
assassin. But then,
he turned her into an indentured servant.
yeah,
So it's like you having like a debt against somebody that you have to pay back that's
yeah,
impossible to pay back. Is like he's by no means a good guy. And I think they really do a good job of establishing that right off the bat whenever it's like, hey, I'm getting into the slave trade.
yeah.
And then like as a result of her spoiler foiling that deal,
He beat the crap out of
he
her.
beat
in
her.
front of Sam because he knew that Sam liked her
Yeah,
or loved her, and I was like, it's very rude.
it is very rude.
Okay, so but this whole book, what I get and I don't get is so when Sam and her they split, she's waiting for him in the apartment, just like I wonder where he is, and he's off getting tortured. Why didn't she go look for him?
Well, it was because like they had a lot of fights about it. He wanted to do the job on his own, and she was trying to respect his wishes.
Well, guess what? He
I
died.
know, I know.
That's what you get for respecting wishes. She knew something was, but she knew something was wrong, and she still didn't
It's
go
like
get him.
it's like trusting your gut, but it's like yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
that's like one of those. I I don't. What I didn't remember was like I guess how brutal
yeah, he
his
was
body
tortured.
was,
Yeah,
like him missing eyes and stuff like that.
and
And I
like
was
he
just
was like torn from limb to limb, and he was missing fingers, and
like
yeah.
that's Sam and Kale looked similar.
Yes. So in my mind, they both look like Andrew Garfield from
Mm,
Spider Man. Is that his name? Yes.
yeah.
They have
Are
like
you thinking Tom Holland,
no, the other one, Andrew.
the Amazing
Yeah,
Spider-Man?
whatever that
Okay.
one. I
There's
feel
like
like he looks like.
there's
I
three.
feel like they look like that one.
Maybe. I feel like because like they, Andrew Garfield's a little bit skinnier, so
Yeah,
like,
maybe
but
that.
they keep
Maybe
saying like
buffer.
he's a broad chest, he's very broad shoulders, he's an expansive back, blah blah blah
No,
blah
no.
blah.
Yeah, and I feel like Dorian looks like a wuss.
No, okay,
Yes.
look, I'm gonna need you to back off, Dorian, because the thing is, like, he is our little emo king,
Yeah.
and we love him.
Yeah, he is
He's
emo.
very upset.
He is very emo. So in this
He's
book, I
very
will
in his
say
emotions.
I did like like, and I love in this book they had like the silent master, and then you had Oberyn as a master, and you could see like their
The differences,
extreme
like how
contrast.
yeah.
And then you had that bitch Ansel.
I've never been a novella person, but
Mm-hmm.
like this is a good set of
Because
novellas.
well, then a lot of times people will write prequels, but they don't really do anything to the story. Like this
They don't
one,
add anything.
yeah, this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
really like covered up loopholes. Like, because
yeah,
if not, you would have never known who Sam was. I wonder if she always had it in her mind to write a prequel, because it almost feels like she did. Because she
yeah.
wrote it so perfectly, like why she was hard for her to trust another female because Ansel was a jerk.
Mhm.
You know, why was it hard for her? Why does she hate whipping and all that? Like all that, like it
Yeah.
plays into it, and it's like it's all tied up in this book.
Mhm.
So if you didn't read this book first and you had the opportunity to, you should
Mhm.
have.
I think, and it's also they do a good
Mm-hmm.
job of like introducing the character. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you did start with this one over Throne of Glass,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah, and this leads up to where when you start Throne of Glass, it's exactly where this book ends. She's in the salt mines, or because in this one she's on her way, and then that one she's already in it. So
Mhm. Mhm.
you're
He's
like, okay.
telling the
She's
stag to
been there
run.
for a year already. I guess when that book starts,
Yeah.
she's been
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
year.
But your question is whether or not Ansel comes back. I will not be answering that.
If she does, I hope she gets punched in the throat.
I mean, you never know.
There's a lot of people that I hope if they pop back in.
What I do like about her character though is like she's also feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the times, like whenever you write like a woman as an assassin, they don't like their femininity basically gets stripped from them, and that's not the case
Yeah,
here.
she actually uses her sexuality to get stuff done too.
Yeah, yeah, but she like she likes fine things. She likes
Oh yeah, her
fancy
perfume,
soap.
the
She likes.
lavender soap.
It's very sad. Yes, very sad. Moving on.
Very sad. Move on.
Okay, but so the main point is we have the king, uh, Parrington and
Caitlin, whatever.
Caltaine
That's a stupid ass name. I'm sorry.
actively working against Dorian and his champion
Mm-hmm.
Selena.
Uh huh.
So, and of course, like we don't from this book, we don't actually see anything from her past. We don't hear really about Oberon and whether or not like
Yeah, we don't see anything. Like he doesn't even
yeah
know she exists yet. Like
yeah
she's back,
because she's going by a different alias during the games.
and she's in the castle, which is where not where he's at.
Right. But I
He's
mean,
in the
like,
city outside of it, right? But
right.
like,
Rifthold.
but even she said like I think it was in Assassin's Blade. She even said like they don't go in. You don't go into the castle. That's like a whole different area.
That like probably her attitude towards herself never really changes.
Yeah.
Like even in the later books, like
No,
she's always has like a swagger kind of arrogance about.
Yeah, but that was like, I think she had to have that though, in order to go into these fights. Because if you
In
don't
order
think you're
to
gonna
survive,
win,
for
you're not
sure.
gonna do it.
For sure.
Yeah, but there's little things about her that like that's when she gets the dog or whatever. You're just like, okay, she has a heart. Like she doesn't want the dog to die.
Fleetfoot.
Fleetfoot. That's a random name.
I love Fleetfoot.
But
We love.
is it like a golden retriever? In my mind, it's a golden
Yes,
retriever.
yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what she is to me
Yeah,
too.
it's a golden retriever, not a hound. It's supposed to be a hound.
Nope, golden
It's
retriever.
a
Long,
cute golden
long
retriever.
blonde hair,
Yeah,
super cute
golden
dog.
retriever. That
Nope, too bad.
yeah, just a golden retriever.
The dog is the dog.
Yeah,
That's
that's one thing I did like. She was like, "I'm getting this dog," and I did like Dorian in this book. He was nice, and I liked him. It was in the later books where I'm
I
just like,
really liked the reaction that they wrote. Like, so whenever she starts putting on weight and she's training and everything, and she starts her period,
uh-huh,
and Kale, because he's useless,
uh,
like freaks out and runs away, and like Dorian's just like needling her, and then like buys her candy and all this
yeah,
other stuff. Like
buys
he
her
was
chocolates and all
very
that.
considerate. And like I feel like I don't know. What do you think about like their romance and how quickly she just
Yeah, I don't
shut it
know.
down?
I think she should have done because of who he was. I think
Right.
if he wasn't who he was, she probably would have pursued that more. But she had to because he was like,
It almost seemed cruel though, because like he's like, I love this person, and then she's like,
yeah,
we shouldn't hang out anymore.
yeah, and I
This
was like,
this has been
oh.
fun.
And then she dates the best friend, and I was like, he's the worst.
I just
Kale is the worst.
yeah. So I didn't. What did you think of Caltaine?
Which one's? Oh, the friend, Caitlin. I called her Caitlin the whole time.
Caltaine, the one that was
Why?
like
Why Caltain? Just call her Caitlin. That like, I didn't like her from the beginning, but
well, no,
then after learning what happened with her, like because of Parrington, then I felt bad for her.
because of
He was
the
manipulating her the whole time.
well because like he convinced her to like you don't think that was fair because like she was basically just using him to get to Dorian.
Yeah, she wanted to bang Dorian so she could
Well,
become prince.
she's chasing that crown.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
look
like
where
she
it ended
wasn't.
up. She ended up in a dungeon.
I 100% like completely forgot about Duke Parrington, and
What
I
about
just
Knox? I like Knox, her
Knox.
only friend, and I hope he comes back. Like that's one of the characters. Because remember, he just left in the middle of the
Yeah,
night.
yeah, no, because
So
she
I
was
hope he
like,
comes back somewhere. Because he was like, I don't have to be here. She's like, you don't. So bye, leave.
yeah, no,
And
like
then
this is.
Kane was a jerk from the beginning, and then he became even more of a jerk. But then you realize why he was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I'm
Like
still
there were
glad
some
he
things that
died.
they were hinting at though that I was like, this is so obvious.
Yeah.
It's like the scene where she was like thinking that Nahimi was gonna actually hurt people. I was like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I was like, no, she's not. But I don't like. There's a lot of like like after I read, I'm like, oh, I should have known that. You know what I mean? Because
Oh
like,
yeah.
you
Well, like
know,
you don't want it to be too predictable, but like one of the things that they said was like that she read about like the word gates and everything was that like people can like whenever when they like desecrate these bodies like you can
mm-hmm.
actually gain their power and she'd said like every time I see Kane he's a little bit bigger and I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And you saw him walking around looking at the symbols. So you're like, bruh.
yeah I don't like she immediately just jumped to like her being the bad guy and I did that
Yeah.
connection never made sense to me like the first time I read it and when I reread it it's just like I'm not seeing it but okay.
Yeah. But did you know that girl's gonna poison her? Like I predicted, like that girl's gonna poison you. Kaylin, whatever, she poisoned her.
Caltaine.
Caltaine, whatever.
No, I mean I didn't know that she was gonna poison her until she poisoned her.
I
Like
knew
whenever they
she
were
was gonna do.
scheming
Yeah,
about it.
I didn't know she was gonna poison her, but I knew she was gonna do something to her too. Because it was kind of
Yeah.
sad that Parrington and the King were like, still, we gotta tip this in our favor, even though we have like a David and Goliath situation going on. We're still gonna have to tip things in Goliath's favor, and you
Yeah.
still lost. Like, bro,
That was
an intense
interesting.
scene.
Like, cause he like beat the crap out of her.
So,
But then like, so
yeah.
I guess it really speaks to like her training and like what a badass assassin she is because she took down. I guess it was Grave.
Mm-hmm.
Who did she fight? It was Grave.
Yes, yeah, because then she got King. Yeah.
So she took him down like these like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And then like because of the drug that she took, it was just like
mm-hmm.
after the poison had left her system because of Elena.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So Elena is what to her? The girl that comes, the queen or whatever that comes to her. That's not her mom. For the longest, I was like, "There's her mom," but that's
no,
not her
she's
mom.
1,000 years old.
Yeah,
she
so it's not
died
her
a
mom.
1,000 years ago. So, uh,
she's like, how is she related to her? Like, why does she care?
It's like
her lineage still.
So if we're talking about Throne of Glass, we don't know that there's any connection there. If we're talking about
overall,
like after the reveal, That's her
Yeah,
great
that's her
grandmother.
leaning. Okay,
And
that's what I'm
that
sure.
also means that Dorian is her
I yeah,
distant
because I figured
cousin.
well Dorian has to. I figured he had to be something because later on he has things happen, and I'm just like, okay, so they're related somehow a little
A little bit.
bit.
So whenever I've gone back and started doing the reread of Throne of Glass, I've started like annotating a little bit, and what I'm focusing on, and this is why you have to read the other books
Mm.
and as quickly as possible.
You told me to slow down because I can
Slow,
read. I can read
slow
Queen of Shadows by
down,
the end of the weekend.
slow down. No, because I still got. So I've read. I'm
You have
60.
Crown of Midnight. That's where you're at right
I'm
now.
like 60% of the way through
Of
that. So
Crown of Midnight
yeah,
already,
I'll finish that one tonight,
and then you have to read Heir of
and
Fire,
then I have to read Heir of Fire, and then
and
we'll
then we're the
be.
same.
So
Okay.
give me the weekend,
Okay.
and then we can.
And then we can tandem read together.
At the beginning of the book, it opens with her like carrying out her duties as like the king's assassin or
Yeah.
whatever, or the king's champion, and like she's like presenting body parts to them, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
That was cool.
specifically talks about like how Dorian is horrified and Kale is horrified, and they're all like, "Oh my god!"
Like how
Like she
dare
is,
like she's
yeah.
evil and
And then
she's crazy eyes and
and
me.
then
Like they're all
like
talking shit.
they
Yeah.
go on the date or whatever for his birthday, and she's like, I haven't been doing this thing that you are horrified
Yeah.
that I'm doing. And his reaction isn't like, oh, you're a good person. It's like, no, that's terrible, the king's gonna kill you. It's like,
And then for me, like, okay,
yeah,
you selfish punk.
yeah.
And then she gives him all the money.
But she doesn't tell. She never told him that like
But
his life.
but their lives being threatened. No, she never tells him
Yeah,
that.
no. So and that always
Yeah.
annoyed me because like I feel like that would have been important information to
Yeah.
convey.
It's hard to.
Which
That's
I
the
feel
one
like
thing.
is a theme throughout the book.
It's
Like
hard to. They
withholds.
all withhold information, so you have to remember like who knows what at some point.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, what? I thought, and then you're like, oh wait, he doesn't know. He doesn't know
He
that you
doesn't
know
know.
that I know. Yeah.
He doesn't know that I know that we
You
know
know
that
that
he
you know.
knows.
Yeah. Because then like Kale keeps so much stuff from Dorian, and I'm like, and Dorian was keeping stuff from Kale, and it's just like, bruh, tell like your besties, tell everybody everything.
Well, I feel like Dorian's like fear is almost like justified because with Kale's oath to the throne and the king and everything, if he had told him that he had magic, there's no like I don't know that there's faith in Kale that he wouldn't go and tell the king. Like we find out that he doesn't.
Yeah. No,
but,
I wouldn't have trusted him either. He's a jerk.
Yeah, I don't.
He's a jerk. He's
just not.
He's a jerk.
I don't think his priorities are in order. Again, loyalty and honesty, and he took his oath, and he's all.
Yeah.
The book basically starts like, here's your target. She's going to go find him. And then she and Cole, goddamn, Kale are falling in love. Ugh. While Dorian is like
miserable,
being emo about it, which we love.
Yeah,
I love. Well, he's an
and then Roland comes. That's the
Roland,
the cousin. No, not her cousin. His cousin.
So you notice that like all the people that were like in the king's like inner circle were all
had the black rings, which is similar to
rings. Yeah.
Well, I can't talk about that. Who's another book? But that's how he controls them. Is with those rings.
Yes.
Yes. I learned that.
So and like that later on becomes even more important.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Like you're in for such a treat.
Well, we're not on the next book, but in this one, you just know about the rings. Yes. And she notices that they're all wearing the black rings, and she's like, "There's something up with that." Like,
well, what I thought was interesting though is like Dorian, before he's even wearing the rings, is talking about headaches. And
so that's whenever like there's evil around, or like the magic. That's what I assumed was like it was
repelling it.
Yeah, because their bodies are pushing it away. Because even the Aedion, whatever his name is, he later on says the same thing.
It's ADE 80 ION.
Aiden is his name.
Aiden.
He even mentions it. Like they all do. Whenever they start mentioning like their headaches and stuff, I'm like, there's evil around. Because even Caitlin, whatever, Caltaine, she talks about it when she's in the dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah, but she also has an opium addiction. So, like, I feel like in the first book, in Thorn of Glass, like when she's talking about, like, oh, I have this headache, I'm gonna go smoke my pipe. I'm like, man, those withdrawals must suck.
Yeah,
and then you find out
it's probably both. Yeah.
Well, it's because she's being
manipulated.
She has through Heir of Fire. This is whenever she goes through the training, she has to like master her powers. You've met Mav and Maeve and that whole situation.
And then she buys Rowan's almost like his
She
freedom. She
bargains for
bargains for him
him.
to break the
Yeah,
blood oath
yeah. Between her and
between him and thing, and then
yeah,
he's the first person in his court. And I was like, yay!
cute.
I swear to God, they're mates, but you're like, no, he already had a mate, and I'm like, no,
That's what we know so far.
yeah, no,
He
they're
had a
mates.
mate.
They're mates. I know they're mates. They have to be. You can have more than one mate, or the other one wasn't
You
real
can only
mate.
have one. You
No,
get one. You
no.
only get one.
Well,
You
then the
get
other one
one
wasn't
mate.
really his mate. He was mistaken. He was
He
mistaken.
had
He
a
had
mate.
to have been.
He
No,
had a mate.
I'm putting
She
money on
was
it.
pregnant.
And
They
so
were
I
having
have been
babies.
very strategic when I'm on book talk and anybody talks about Through the Glass or any of her books. I just zoom, like I just like that, like I give it a flickety flick because I don't trust that they're not going to spoil anything. And anything, even on Instagram, I'd be like when they show like fan art, I'm like, nope, I don't want to know it. I don't want to know. I don't want to see. So I'm betting money that that's her mate. She just doesn't know. Either you get a second mate, or the other mate wasn't really his mate. I'm betting because it has to be. I need her to have a happy ending because I'm so upset if she doesn't. I need her to find a person to that has to be her. And he knows it, but he doesn't know it
Because he
because
had a mate
he had a
with
mate.
a baby
No,
on the way, and he's
no.
brokenhearted.
He should be. He left her there, and then he was like, "I flew back as fast as I could." Oh, okay, you bald eagle. Is he a bald eagle? In my mind, he's a bald,
like...
just sad American eagle.
No, but like, okay, so I think it. I guess it depends on whatever animal you resonate with, or whatever the case is. Because she like her shift thing is a human.
Yeah, which is so random.
Well,
does Aiden shift or does he shift? I need him to shift and be something totally magical.
Maybe
I need him to be like a giraffe.
Maybe.
Like I need him to be
Maybe.
something.
I'm not telling you.
Can he be like if he's something stupid like a fish? I'm gonna be mad. Like maybe he's the stag. Oh, that would be cute.
Well, I guess you'll find out. You have to keep reading.
Does Dorian shift? I need to know.
Dorian has magical powers. He's like, I guess.
So hers are because she's a fairy, right? Or fae.
Fae. Yeah.
What's the difference between a fae and a fairy? Are they the same thing?
No.
What's a fairy?
The like little.
Like Tinkerbell?
The fae are different from fairies in my mind in these books. I don't think they specifically, but it all has to do with like the lore that they're pulling all this information from, like them having issues with iron or what have you.
Yeah, why do they have issues with iron?
It's a part of the lore.
Why?
It's part of the lore. It's like if you look at like the Irish like mythologies and stuff like that, it's like that's what they did to protect themselves from fairies and changelings and yeah. You have to like read all the like. You don't have to. They kind of explain it, but like that's what it's talking about. It.
So iron.
Iron is part of it.
Iron. She has a lot of titles. You know why she also reminds me of Daddy? Because she's got like 37 titles. She is formerly Demi-Fae. So what's a Demi-Fae? Is a mix of Fae and human. See, I was right.
Okay, yeah, good. See, you just read the book.
But you know why I also don't. That's why she reminds me of Daddy. Because she's got like these are all her titles, right? She's what is it? Adarlan, Adarlan's assassin. Is that how you say that place?
Yeah.
Okay. The King's Champion, Witch Slayer, Queen of Tesserin, Heir of Fire, Heir of Ash and Fire, Heir of Tesserin, Heir of Brandon, Heir of Mala Firebringer, Fire Heart, which is what Evelyn and Rowan call her. She's the frying, breathing bitch, the Aelin of the Wildfire, Aelin Firebringer, Aelin Lightbringer, the Queen of Flame and Shadow, the Queen who was promised, the Queen who walked between worlds, the God's Killer, the Fairy Queen of the West. Like, why does she have so many names? She was born May 3rd, by the way.
May 3rd? Yeah. What does that make her?
I don't know.
That makes her a Taurus, I think. Which makes sense. She's very stubborn.
And then he tattoos her. Rowan tattoos her after it all.
Her scars, yeah.
Yeah. Because he has the sad story on his face. And they do it with iron, which makes sense. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Close if not, they would heal. Toodles, dog. Why are you looking at me that way?
No, I just like you're mentioning things that I didn't remember. And
why don't you remember them?
No, like I remember the scars. I remember the tattoos. Yeah, you saw the bathtub scene.
Which one? when he bathes her.
When he sees her back.
Scars, and then he feels like a complete jerk for threatening to whip her.
For being a horrible
That's what he gets. And then he decides to fly away. And then all I picture is him as a bald eagle going, like, I messed up. And then he it's like, crap, where am I going to go? I need to go back because now she thinks I'm abandoning her. And I know she has abandonment issues. So then he flies back and then takes care of her. And I'm just like, finally.
Yeah.
And then he lets her stay in his bed. And I was like, they're going to do it. And I was like, wait, it's a YA book. They're not going to do it.
No.
But I was like, at least they're going to be besties. Like, they need to be besties. Like, braid each other's hair.
Okay.
That's what I need.
And
then he feels like a jerk because she's out there practicing by herself every morning with the fire. And he's like, oh, okay. You're like, yeah, she's taking it seriously now. Okay. You're done, you stupid bird. Stupid bird.
Yeah. No, he like his introduction into the series isn't very good because like it's like, you know, from if you came from like reading Assassin's Blade, which I didn't when the first time I read this, but whenever you come from that, and you know, like the only father figure anything in her life was Oberon, and he beat the crap out of her, and then like your introduction to somebody who's supposed to be your friend and care about her is being punched in the face and then
it's like
and tortured.
Stockholm syndrome, like she's okay with
like you wonder if that's like what's really going on.
Oh, they cut that girl's head off, the healer. I didn't like her.
Oh, Sorsha?
That's her name. Sorsha. I didn't like her. Like, I feel like Dorian's character, that whole thing was kind of just like, they kept referencing him so you wouldn't forget about him because you needed him for the end of the story. But other than that, like, he had no point in the story. He really didn't. Like, other than that, the girl was feeding him tonics that had a little bit of iron in them so he wouldn't go in front of the dad. But then he ended up going in front of the dad anyway.
Because he cut off her head.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I did like that Adian was smart enough to know that ring was different.
Yeah.
So he switched it out. I was like,
I don't know, because he's like, this is weird.
Yeah, I don't like
too
this.
smart. Don't be giving me jewelry.
Yeah.
I don't know you like that.
But it was even that. He's like he said it smelled weird because he still has Fae in him. So I mean, well, he is Fae, but
they mention in one of the earlier books that there's things that the Fae can see and smell and hear and everything that humans can't.
Well, it's even like with what's her name, Manon, when she was doing the dragons. Well, I call them dragons. They're not dragons, but
they're wyvern.
The dragons. She knew not to feed them that food from. Remember, they were going up and getting the different food and not eating food from the slop and all that. They were getting their own food because she knew there was something up. So they know.
Did you notice that the seal for the king is also a wyvern though?
Yeah. So he's
something.
And then those towers. Remember, Kale figured out the towers. So they're gonna, and they knew that they have to knock one down. So I'm waiting for them to go and knock one down.
It's crazy.
But I do like that Manon has like a heart almost, even though she's not supposed to. So there's something that's gonna happen. I'm waiting for her
killing machine.
I'm waiting for her to turn, like
into an awesome,
like turn on her grandma or whatever that is, and be like, no, we're doing this, because the 13 are gonna follow her no matter what. I feel like, and then the yellow legs, they get on my nerves. She whipped Abrascus, and then, but they're all there because the king ordered all the witches to get together, right? So they're about to go do some shady shit.
Yeah, they're in cahoots with the king.
I don't know why. I guess because of he needs them to go kill everything.
So,
what's the king's overall goal though? Like, just to kill everybody?
I can't tell you that. World domination, I guess. Recommending this book to friends who you want to traumatize, you should start with Assassin's Blade for sure.
I remember texting you. I was like, he died. I wasn't expecting that. That's why. But if you have read the other books, then you know he's dead. That's why you have to read Assassin's Blade first.
If you want to be appropriately traumatized.
Yeah, because I didn't know he was dead. I thought they were living happily ever after throughout the whole fucking book.
Sorry.
I was like,
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. First, I think the first text I think I sent you was like, Ansel, that bitch.
No, I think the first thing I remember you texting me was, oh, they kissed. And I was like,
oh, yeah, I did. I was like, oh, they kissed, yay. And then you were like, I was like, he's dead? And not just kind of dead, like tortured,
murdered,
maimed. She's crying.
She got
And I'm still at the point
betrayed.
where she doesn't know where he's buried, so she's crying a lot because she wants to know where he's buried. And I'm just like, yeah, where is he? Did she ever get to go to his grave? Because she needs to go for the closure.
No comment.
She better fucking go. I'll be mad.
I don't
You know, you don't want to tell me.
know.
It's fine. But I need her to go to his grave. I need her to go. And do Doran and Kale never like put two and two together that they met Sam? Like she talks to them about Sam, but they don't. Do they not realize that that was her?
I feel like it'd probably be one of those things where
They were,
it was so fleeting.
and that's when
Like, and
Dorian was
I
messing
think
with. Oh, they were in masquerade
they were
ball.
masks too. Like she was in her getup, so it's they probably don't know. They were wearing masks. I think she was wearing her
Yeah, because it was
assassin's
a
mask
mask.
too.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were because it was a masquerade ball. That's why she was able to sneak in.
Yeah.
And Sam threw a fit when she was talking to them.
Mhm. So I don't think they. It's like a double blind. No, nobody knows that they've already met each other.
I know.
Or it was like an Easter egg for the reader that if you're reading this after the fact, you're like, I know these people and they know each other, but they don't know that they know
Did you know that I know?
that
But
they
I
know.
know.
But okay, so you haven't from Assassin's Blade, you haven't so far. None of the people that you've met, with the exception of those two, have shown up again.
Mm, Grave showed up again,
Oh, that's right.
and
Wait, no, not from Throne of Glass. I'm talking
oh,
about
from Assassin's Blade,
from
nobody else
Assassin's
has
Blade
showed up.
specifically.
No,
So the only ones that you remember
are them two.
up until Queen of Shadows,
Yeah,
where you're
where
like
I'm at
three
in Queen of
chapters
Shadows,
in.
because Queen of Shadows, I'm only like 3 chapters in. I'm literally at the part where her hair is dyed red, and she follows.
Oh yeah, that's right. She does dye her
She
hair.
follows Kale to the sewers, and they're exchanging everything that's happened. You know, he's
Okay.
telling her like, "Well, this is where Dorian is. This is what's happening with your cousin." Blah blah blah, and she's like, "Yeah, well, I'm fairy, and I can like stuff." But she still doesn't tell me. Like, I don't think she tells him about Rowan.
Mm,
She still hides him. She knows not to trust him all the way because of what happened to her bestie.
yep.
So but he's telling her everything. And she knows it's a trap for her to go get the cousin. Um, she's like, the king's setting up a trap because he knows I'm going to come get him.
Oh, Adion.
Yeah,
Okay.
because remember. So where I'm at is the king is setting up. I think it's his birthday party, and that's where he's going to execute the cousin.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. So
Yeah.
at the end, that's right. At the end of Heir of Fire,
Yeah.
after he gets thrown in jail, and
Jail.
then that's what's supposed to bring her back to the
Yeah, and
city.
that's what it is. What brought her back? She was already going back because she needs to get the thing from Oberyn.
Yeah,
The what's it called? A wayward. What are those fucking things called?
the word
Yeah,
key.
she's got to get the word key from him.
Yeah,
But he doesn't know that that's what he has. She just knows what it is.
yeah,
But she's
because that's the third one.
yeah, but
Yeah,
she's just now discovered that her cousin's trapped. So she's like, oh well, shit, I gotta do that.
like now I gotta
And
try
then
to come get
Elbrin
her.
wants her to capture one of the creatures because he wants to, I guess, study it or
Oh,
whatever.
the thing that was
With
eating
the
people.
yeah
What were they called? Riddics? Or no, that's not it.
vlogs, no, the
Are you talking the
creatures.
thing with the collars?
Yeah, those things.
Vlogs.
Yeah, he wants her to. Well,
Vlads.
he
Vlad.
wants her to capture one of the creatures, um, so he can, I guess, study it and all that because that's what's killing everything, and he wants it.
That's another thing that's really interesting about like the word gates and then bringing the creatures through,
Mm,
because I feel like, again, if you read the rest of the books, there's some tie-in.
yeah.
It's important to
Hmm.
read everything.
I know.
Do you want to do like a sign off?
Bye. No,
Thanks for
that
joining us.
that's what we said. We did it. I don't know how this is gonna turn out. You might only get 30 seconds of this.
This might only be shorts.
It's okay though, because we did it.
Thank you for joining us
And then we're gonna
for.
fix it, and the second episode will be better. And then in like a year, we'll look back on this and just laugh.
It's like what was I gonna call it? Like book chat with the bestie or something? Book
Yeah.
chat with bestie.